Hey, it's James from All Hail Internal Combustion. Um, Little side note on the video, we reached 500 subscribers, so yay, and thanks to everybody that's subscribed so far. But it's been damn cold up here in Pennsylvania. We had some couple snowstorms, which I guess most people say, "Oh, that ain't no storm," but we ain't had snow like this in a couple years, so not really used to it. So I decided to come out in the cold garage and mess around a little bit with the 350. I uh, I did get the oil pan pulled off of the engine, and it's a little bit sludgelicious in there, which I kind of expected. And as you can see, there's big chunks of crap right there that are just washing down the inside of the pan. Most likely that's probably ice and remnants of the frozen water that was in there. And as you can see, there's that special sparkle that we all look for when we're doing bottom end working engines, because that's always a great thing to find. But I am going to get this thing rolled over and take a look at the bottom end a little bit more, start pulling the oil pump windage tray off, and start numbering these rods and getting this thing pulled apart. Alright, so I'm back on the engine. Actually, I started working on this and filming it yesterday, but it got so cold I was out here working with a hammer and my fingers was freezing, so I ran like a cold person into the house and hid. But it's the next day, it's a little bit warmer, trying to get some more done. I went ahead and took my number punch set that I got from Carlisle and started going through here and marking my connecting rods so I can get ready to pull them out. I've already pulled the first one out. I think I can get away with just polishing the crank on that. But when I took the bearing out, the bearing basically just fell out of the upper and lower shell. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pull number 2 and we'll see if it does the same thing. Because this thing looks like it possibly sat for a very long time and then somebody dry cranked it without spinning it over and getting some lubrication into it. At least that's what it looks like to me by the looks of the bearings. Alright, so I pulled the number 2 piston out of this block. And something that I noticed yesterday is if you look there, there's a monstrous gap between the bearing and that cap. And bearings just fall out of it. Same thing happened on the upper. And also on the upper, if we look here at our tang, that shiny spot tells me that this was trying to rotate, or possibly did rotate. I haven't checked these for thickness yet, but I did look on the back of them. They don't say anything about being undersized bearings or oversized bearings, so I don't know whether somebody had this engine apart at some point, because it did have a brand new oil pan gasket on it. So I don't know if they got in here and messed with these rods or not and put it back together dry. I mean, the crankshaft is a little ugly, but I think I can polish that out because there's not really any place that's catching. But when you go to put the bearings on here, you could basically pop your bearing onto your crankshaft, which is no good. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the rest of these out of here. I got a feeling they're all going to be the same. This thing wasn't locked up. It was tight to turn. So hopefully I don't have any really, really bad crank damage. And if I do, oh well, I'll take it in and get it cut and polished and all that happy crap. And that way at least I know the crank is in good shape. And I'll have the rods checked out too. But let me get to pulling the rest of these out and we'll see what all this looks like. Alright, so I am down here on number 6 piston. And I'm pretty sure y'all can see that, but the bearing is actually spun around, overlapped, and a good part of the bearing is completely worn down. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the cap off of this one, and we can look at all the fun carnage inside. Alright, so that would be my number 7 journal. As you can see here, there's quite a damn step in there. This one is torn to shreds. That's the one with the overlapping bearing. Don't even think I'm really going to be able to get that turned, but I got to mic it out and check. But these are the bearings that came out of it. As you can see, the edges are completely torn up. There's no locating tab left on it. There's the other half of it. I'm not sure which is top and which is bottom because they were overlapped. But they are spent and the crank is kind of screwed. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the last two off, and then I'll have to figure out what I'm going to do with this thing, because the block is good, but it kind of sucks to have to replace everything associated with it. So we'll see. Be right back. Went ahead and took the crank out, and the main bearings are crappy looking, and they progressively get crappier as you get to the back. And as you can see, all them little dots in there, that's metal that's been sitting and everything else. So I went ahead and I also snatched the camshaft out of it. And as you can see by that front bearing there's a lot of buildup on it. So this thing's going to be getting entirely new bearings. And I'm pretty sure this crank is going to be past the point of turning, so I'm going to be looking for a crank too. Because that's a pretty heavy lip in there. So that's where I'm at with this. Got to start looking up some parts and figuring out what I need to do. I guess first I need to score a crank, but as far as the block goes, I'm going to go ahead and pull all my casting plugs out and oil galley plugs and strip this thing all the way down to nothing so I can take it to the pressure washer and get it cleaned up and start to evaluate it, check it for cracks and anything that might potentially make this a bad block. If the block's good, I'm going to go ahead and do my prep work on it, clean it up, deburr it, and get it ready for paint, and of course hone the cylinders. So see where this all goes from here. This is James with All Hail Internal Combustion. Like and subscribe. And once again, we finally hit 500 subscribers. So thanks to everybody that's been along with us for the ride. Hopefully we'll be hanging out more. All hail internal combustion.